Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thank you for tuning in once again. I am Anthony from Kazoto Photo, and joining me is...
Brett T. Guy. Brett Best.
How's it going, everybody? Brett Best in the house.
We got to work on that.
We do. We need to work on that opening a little bit. I think we're close. I think we got the right idea.
We tweak it every day time.
I can't let everybody get used to it.
Nope.
Anyway, so last week we pulled our card. It was high contrast lighting for our challenge. So Brett and I went through and did some photos. You all voted. We had great engagement once again.
Fantastic.
And it was awesome. And we're excited to talk about it. So.
All right. Come on and snap to it. Cameras on, subject well lit. That photo challenge for top spot. It's hit me with your best shot. We got Kazoto Photo talking shop about framing shots with that Brett T guy. Camera tricks is what makes them click. So switch f-stop and listen. Camera tricks is what makes them click. So switch f-stop and listen in.
Let's go. Brett, how was your week, man? What did you think of the challenge?
Week was great. Challenge. So after I heard it, I can't say that I was worried, or almost every challenge I have been somewhat worried about. Okay, what am I going to shoot? I just knew that the high contrast kind of opened up an awful lot of areas. And I had some decent ideas right off the bat, so I wasn't really stressing it. Mm-hmm. I did get a little lazy about halfway through. In fact, I messaged you, and you even put it out there as a.
I think you were throwing down. You can say you got lazy, but I think you took this one, your winning photo first.
So basically, I got lazy, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to post this one. I ended up taking another one, so we were good. But yeah, how about you? What were your thoughts the moment that card came up?
The moment that card came up, I was mixed because I like high contrast lighting. I have a bunch of studio lights. You know, they're not anything fancy. They're not expensive. I bought them off Amazon.
High contrast.
Yeah, high contrast. So I knew I had the equipment to do basically anything I wanted with high contrast lighting. But at the same time, I felt torn because I like to try to step out of the box for these challenges. I like to try to do something that, not that you wouldn't do, but not everybody would do. And I felt like that was the easy answer and also the right answer. So I wrestled with my ideas for about a week, and I couldn't quite decide on what I wanted to do. And then I just said, go with the quote unquote easy shot that really is just light it properly, technically do it the right way, and it'll be good, because sometimes the easiest answer is the right answer. We got to Anthony's moment of motivation early this week, but there it is. Sometimes the easy answer is the right answer. So I went with the easy answer that required some setup, and did it. I thought it was a good challenge. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, kind of taking exactly what you've said, all of our challenges, we could have taken the easy route. And if you'll look at our Instagram and go to the link, take a look at our Instagrams. Absolutely.
Down in the description.
You can see when we started this, we were taking photos, and I'm not going to say that we took the easy route, but I think that since this show has started, we have put a lot more thought into our photos that we're taking every day. We're taking a look at composition. We're taking a look at lighting. We're making the conscious thoughts before we take these, which to me, that's pretty cool about this whole thing. And every challenge has made us think that way. So,
yeah, I can agree with that for sure. I thought it was fun. there were a lot of ways we could have went. I really liked mine until I saw yours. I mean, I still really like mine. I'm not gonna say I don't, but when I saw yours, I knew I was done for. So that was.
So is that our segue into?
Yeah, I think we can kind of get into it here. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to jump into it here, right? You got anything specific you want to say about this challenge or anything else?
I still got lazy on my second shot. Look, I loved my second shot for just a regular photo, but I basically mailed that one in.
Okay.
So,
all right. So you did know that your first one was going to kill it. Good to know.
Sure. We'll roll with that. You already put me out on Instagram as that, so let's go with it. Oh, look at that.
Well, here we go. We've got the winning photo here. So again, before we really go into this, I want to say thank you to everyone who voted, commented, got involved in this challenge. We once again exceeded our votes. So every week it's growing. It's awesome to see. I don't know if that's because everybody's enjoying it so much or because there was a really cute kitten on that page. So tell me about this winning photo, champion, sir.
So this is Thorn. This is my my middle son's newest addition to their herd. They between him and his girlfriend, they have several kittens.
Okay.
So this one's named Thorn. That actually comes from Aragon. So for anybody who knows that, put some comments down below because Aragon, while it was a terrible movie, I still love the movie. I love the books. Aragon was great. It is what it is.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
And you're going to have to look it up. So I'm going to quiz you on
that.
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
You're not just going to tell me what Aragon is?
No. So
all right.
My daughter and my son both have really killer lighting in their houses.
Okay.
And so I have in the past took photos of my daughter's cat, and I knew that this was going to work for this challenge. So I actually took lighting with me, and I did not actually need it. This is actually from the window. So it turned out perfectly. So the other one, and I'll put these on Instagram. A couple of the other ones actually had the lighting, and they just didn't seem to have what I wanted for this photo. Thorn is a little skittish, still trying to get him to.
He's young.
He's young, but he was not brought to where he was around humans until he was a barn kitten. So he's still struggling with, being handled. So he's very, very shy. And this look just, not only was he being shy right here, it just is the epitome of a cute kitten, which obviously is a killer photo no matter what you do.
Yeah, sure.
So, I add some shadow and some brightness to it, and I knew I had a good photo.
You definitely did. So talking on that point here, for anybody who's watching at home, listening to us, tell them what high contrast lighting to you means and how we produce these images.
So high contrast to me doesn't necessarily mean just a black and white, although black and white definitely helps bring that out. But it's a photo that has shadows and highlights both. High contrast means it's got darker and lighter to go with it. So that's, you've got to have that difference, the dark and the light. And several photos that we did in this challenge, I mean, obviously took advantage of that. And I knew I had to use some very bright lighting. And I knew I had this little alcove in the back of that was a long distance away that light would not go to, and it would be a nice dark area. Face is nice and in focus. Luckily, so I was wanting that bright, so I definitely had the settings to where the shutter speed was lower to help bring in some light. Sure. So the fact that Thorn didn't move really helped me. because Thorne didn't want right. So yeah, I mean, it just worked out for me. So, and you notice I had to bump that ISO up too to get it, but
absolutely. So what I wanted to touch on there, the reason I asked that question was I think a lot of people, when they think of contrast, they automatically go, black and white. And it's important that we all know that's not the case,
correct.
That the contrast is just the opposing, color shades, whatever you want to call it. So it doesn't have to be black and white. And in the high contrast lighting, it's really dark darks and really bright brights, highlights up here, shadows and blacks down here, and you've got that really high contrast there. So yeah, I mean, the photo's great. And like you said, you shot it at 1/25, it looks like. Yep. So, I mean, even if he moved a little, he probably still frozen. But, anything lower than that, even a twitch, he's going to get a little blurred.
Yep.
It's at cat speed anyway. If it's a human, maybe not. And for anybody who's wondering how shutter speed interacts with that, link up here. I think I might actually be pointing in the right spot for the video that we did recently on what does shutter speed do. Anyway,
which was really good,
photo.
By the way. That was a fantastic video.
Thanks. Yep. So anybody who wants to know how you can use shutter speed to do some cool stuff, it's only 6 minutes long, I think. So right up there again, go enjoy it. Yep. So yeah, great shot. Any other points you want to make about this? Because I like how bright his fur is. You've got the brightness from, is this the window out here on the left-hand side? Okay.
So you can
not
only with the light to the left and the dark to the right. I loved how the eyeball also portrayed that as well for me. And I showed you a couple other photos that I thought was going to do really well in this, but that eye with the bright, to me, that just kind of sold it for me. So
yeah, and that was going to be one of the points/tips I made here to anybody who's photographing living objects. Here is the eye here is fantastic because you've got the brightness, of the iris surrounding this really dark pupil, and then you've got that little bit
catchlight
of bright light from the window, which to anybody who's not familiar with the term is called a catchlight because it catches the light and reflects it. That catchlight makes a world of difference in showing that something's actually alive.
Absolutely.
Giving life to an object.
And making sure that the focus is set on that eye.
Yeah. So if you can capture that eye and get that catchlight, it's going to be probably a really good photo. But yeah, and then you've got the great shadows underneath of Thorne here. So all around you've got this high highlights, dark darks, and you've got that really nice high contrast lighting. I'm interested to see the color eyes photo here,
I will put it out there.
Black and white.
I'll put it out there.
So I would like to see that because I think it probably also plays through in the highlights and shadows the same way.
And you're right. You don't have to go. It doesn't have to be a black and white photo to be a high contrast photo, but it definitely helps to showcase that point.
Correct.
So,
yeah, and I think 3 of our 4 were black and white. So, yeah, I think it's just natural inclination to kind of go that route. Now, I will say, and do you have anything else to say about this one before we move on? So moving on. So as I said, 3 of our 4 are black and white. So this is the second one. This is not actually transformed to black and white. This is just naturally a black and white photo by the way.
It's a silhouette. So it's a pure silhouette. Yep.
Yeah. So this is my daughter, Everly, and my dogger, Basil. And they are standing on the opposite side of a sheet. A white bed sheet. And then I've got one single light behind them. and just shining back through. And I'm standing, 10 feet away or so, capturing. I just said, here's a handful of treats. Go on that side of the sheet with Basil and have fun. And she did a great job. She captured this photo. Awesome. Yeah. And it was funny.
And Basil obviously is loving it too. I mean,
oh yeah. Yeah. She can be a jerk of a dog at times, like most dogs can, but that have some, attitude to them, which is good. I prefer them having some personality.
Like at the beginning of this video.
But before we hopped on, she's walking around here barking at nothing, shaking her head.
She wanted to be involved in the video.
Record. And, in my 9 to 5 job, she does the same thing. The second I hop on a call and start talking, she just walks around, starts shaking her head and making noise, squeaking toys. And
they want to be known.
I always go, I'm sorry, my dog's a jerk. So, anyway.
What kind of lighting? Because that was the main question I had. Did you use a flash? Because that's all the quality of light here, especially with how well it cuts them out. This had to be a pretty bright light. So what did you use for that?
So that's a very good question. And I wish I had the exact specs. So I'll try and pull them up on my other screen here while I'm talking here. So this is just a single light sitting on a light stand. It's an LED light. And I'm not a huge fan of flash if I don't have to use flash. And I think that's a personal preference per photographer.
Is it something like this?
No. So I do have one of those, and I actually use that all the time. I have a little panel.
Those are so handy,
that I got a couple. They really are. I took one. I took it on a shoot with me today. I had an after shoot for a real estate renovation. So I took it with me to just do some extra lighting in some detail spots that I needed. But I'm not a big fan of flash in my everyday photography because in my mind, and maybe it's just an inexperienced thing, it's a lot of trial and error. If you get it wrong, you have to do the shot again. If you get it wrong, you have to do the shot again. So on and so forth until you get it right. Unless you just 100% know this is going to do this and react this way. But even then, something could reflect wrong. Something could do this wrong. So I am a big proponent for my own uses of using continuous light. So these are... so I pulled it up here. So I bought this 2-pack of these HP Sun softbox kits. They're these big LED lights. I'm looking for the exact wattage. Did
you take the softbox off and just shoot it straight into it?
I didn't have the softbox on it. Yeah. I didn't have the diffuser.
The diffuser.
So I wanted to make sure it was kind of a harsh light.
That's what. So because the way that this is such a cutout shot that light had to be pretty significant. So yeah.
And it wasn't too far away from them either. It was probably only 4 feet. I'm looking at the space that I shot this in. Probably only about 4 feet behind them.
Okay.
Maybe 5. And so I played with it. So I originally started it low because I wanted to show them up on the sheet. And I had actually started with just a piece of diffusion material, and it just was proving not to be big enough for what I wanted to do. So, try setting up a couple light stands with a bed sheet with a dog and a 5-year-old running around, and let me know how much fun that is. But they were good. Anyway.
Turned out.
So I ended up moving it. So the light in this is actually right behind Everly's hand. So her hand that she's holding out with the treat, that light is actually sitting right about there. And there's actually a couple other shots that I didn't use where it actually looks like she's holding the light.
That would have been kind of cool.
I really wrestled with using it.
I want to see that.
I really wrestled with using it or not.
So our B-roll shots.
I decided to go with that.
And that's a great thing because we can put our B-roll shots out here and show what we considered using. So,
Yeah, so it was a good one. But yeah, they were really good. And I was telling you before that the way I came about this shot was Basil and I were actually walking on our trail just for one of our morning walks, and the sun was real low behind us, and it just cast our shadows out on the trail. And I stopped, looked at it. I actually took a picture of it with my phone, and that was going to be another one of my potential shots. And I said, you know what? I can do it better because I have a cute kid at the same time. And that's how this shot came about. So it was a fun one. So
what's your settings on this?
Great question, because the rest of the room was entirely dark. And obviously I needed them to stay still. So 1/60th, I was using my 50 mil, which is basically my go-to lens for a lot of what I do, depending on what I'm shooting. But that 50 mil is never not either on my camera or in my bag. It's on my camera right now. That's what you're watching me on.
And I don't own one.
And then,
I know, right?
It's a good lens. It's a good lens.
I have read.
What do you use for your portraiture?
I will use an 85.
Okay.
Or I will use a 105 and step back and compress. And that's, you know what, that's a subject for a later date. But those are two very different looking portrait styles, and I like them both. I've just never. I've got a 24-70, so if I need that 50, I'll do it. It's just. Obviously, a prime lens is much sharper, and that is an important thing to note. Any zoom lens, they're good, but inherently they have quality issues. So having, look at that. I like
that's her
that.
holding the light there. I really considered using it, but what actually threw it for me here was her leaning up against the border. So you kind of lost a little bit of her detail.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't use that one.
So you used the 50
anyway,
here,
so the 105 and you back up.
Yeah. So having a prime lens is definitely better. So, a 50, that is definitely a good portrait range. So either the 85 or the 105, prime lens that I will use. I love the sharpness out of them. And I tend to like the more compressed. But that's only because I haven't really shot with a straight 50. Like I said, I've got a 24-70 it's a really good lens. And I will shoot at 50, but it is, when you're doing portraits, a prime lens is a great way to do it. You just have to know, do you want to compress the background or do you want to have more of a natural look? And it really depends on that.
So when you say compress the background, tell everybody what you're talking about there.
So if you look at our backgrounds are shot kind of with a 50. It looks very natural. With a compressed, so with a zoom lens, if I shoot with I'm just going to say with a 105, and I have to step back from you, the background not only has a lot of bokeh to it, but the background actually kind of compresses. It looks like it's compressed. The space is different, and you can look at a lot of photos and you will see that look. In fact, we probably should do a segment on something like that. But I
think that's a good one.
So here you can tell the space behind. With a compressed, you can actually bring a mountain closer and make it look like it's literally right behind you. And that's because you're using zoom, you're stepping back, and you're compressing that background.
So a perfect example for anybody who is curious what we're talking about as far as the compression. You've probably seen a lot of pictures over the last, how did that happen? There we go. Last week or so of the full moon.
Oh, yeah.
That has occurred. And you've probably seen a lot of photos where that moon looks absolutely huge. Massive. And it's sitting behind a mountain or a cabin or a skyscraper in the city. Was this a blood moon or a beaver moon? Whatever. I don't. They all have a name, and I don't remember. I thought it was a blood moon, but I could be wrong. Anyway, so by compressing the background, you bring that object that's really far away much closer to the foreground. And like Brett said, I think doing a video on this is something we could do pretty cool here. And I think you doing it on a portrait level probably is the easiest and part that makes the most sense to people, because frankly, the bringing the moon closer one, not that it's difficult, but you need to really plan out your space there.
And the cool thing with doing it with portraiture, so if I'm going to do that and I want bokeh in the background, if I compress that background, it is much easier to blur out the background with a zoom lens like that and stepping back. It's definitely easier. So you can actually compensate for not having a 2.8 or faster lens by doing that. So
yeah, and it's a good way for anybody who's trying to figure out how to take better portraits of their family, their kids, or just in photography. That's a good way to get rid of a noisy background as well. So if you're doing portraits in a busy park setting and there's people walking around, set that subject up near a tree or a pretty bush or something like that. Pull out that zoom lens and back up, because when you focus on their face, their eye, it's going to pull that backdrop a lot closer, and you're not going to see people walking around and all of that. So there's a good tip for you, and I'm glad you brought that up, Russ, because compression's super interesting to me. I'll be honest.
A lot of different ways to do it.
I remember seeing, there are a lot of different ways to do it. And I remember seeing a couple of those photos months ago of, the huge moon. I'm sitting there going, how the hell did this happen? And I did a lot of research. There's a lot of math involved. People, we're not going to bother you with that.
And I don't do math, so I won't bring that up. I don't do math. My phone does math.
Why? They took away your abacus?
There it is. There it is. I like it. Got to put it in every episode. I like it.
All right, we ready to move on?
That was a good one.
Thank you.
I did not
slip that one in.
I did not see that one coming. Good one. Yes, let's move on.
All right.
Abacus. Jeez.
All right, so this was my second one.
Abacus, it's madness.
So I had way too much fun doing this shot, or these shots, I should say. There's probably a couple hundred of shots like this, all different poses and things like that. I just picked the one that I thought stood out the most. There's a couple of me looking handsome in a suit and, things like that.
Out of all the comments, this one resonated with a lot of people.
Mondays, am I right?
Exactly. It was Mondays, and the look that you captured in this, and we'll talk about all your settings and stuff, but you nailed the expression of madness, and it just resonated with a lot of people. We got a lot of good comments on that, so thank you everyone for that. Was this just a crazy day, and it just worked out for you?
It was. Every day's a little crazy. My 9-to-5 job has a little bit of craziness involved in it at all times or various points. So this shoot was fun to me. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do in this regard. I wanted to do this kind of self-portrait, and to go back just a step without hopefully jumping around too much. This is not black and white. Obviously, there's color in this photo. So this was a light right in my face. My backdrop, believe it or not, is actually white. So to show you how much shadow can be created with the right lighting, that backdrop is actually a piece of white diffusion material. And it's obviously not there. It's just dark shadow. But yeah, crazy day. So I felt like I had a little bit of inspiration to fall back on here. So I kind of stepped up and I was making these angry faces, these crazy faces, and taking this shot. And I'm probably only 2 feet away from the camera here, 3 feet away from the camera. And I just had all sorts of fun doing this shoot. I did this for a couple of hours, honestly. I have a lot of material. So you're going to be seeing a lot of self-portraits of me in different positions in different outfits, but it was a lot of fun to do this. It came out just like I wanted.
I love how the ring captured the light too. That was really cool.
Yeah, one of my buddies texted me and he said, "Hey, can we talk about your jewelry and how we can make you stop?" And I just went, "No, we're not going to talk about it."
Yeah, it works. So
I like it.
So I really think, and this is another episode that we can do in the future. So having any kind of background and basically making it go black. So you're close to the camera. You've got a bright light on you. You're metering for directly in front of you. So your face is what's metered, which is that light will fall off. So your settings will basically blacken everything else. This is something you can do with all kinds of stuff. You can do it with like macros of flowers. It's a great tool to have in your bag. You can in daylight, you can almost black out the background if you use bright enough light and you meter close to that camera.
Yes.
So since you're close to that camera, that's where it's going to capture, and the rest of it's going to go fade to black. So
yes,
excellent.
Yeah. So the setup on this was I had started with one of my big softbox lights directly behind the camera, and it was honestly too bright for what I wanted. So I actually had bought a ring light for macro photography a couple weeks ago. So I actually put that on. So in this instance, I am using flash, and I am also using small continuous lights to my side. So on my left side, so the side opposite of the ring where my wristband is, I have a small lume cube sitting on a shelf just to give a little light onto the side of my head here to get, my hair a little bit. And then there's one actually way back behind me on the left-hand side, just trying to get that background, or getting me a little bit separated from that background so that you do get that all black background, but it doesn't look just flat.
So that's the other thing. So all light is facing towards you, nothing going towards the back, which helps blacken the...
Correct. And that was the problem with the big light. It was too big. So I kind of dropped it. Yeah, I dropped it down to these smaller lights that I didn't have any diffusion on there. So it was just harsh light right on me. I've got that ring light, which is, basically here in front of me, just flash. So, we've got that. So I got this idea from, there's a photographer he does celebrity photography. He shoots for Esquire. His name's Mark Mann. I'll put his Instagram down at the bottom. It's fantastic photography. I love the look he gets. I was kind of going for that.
He does the headshots and stuff and just does really super unique, plain headshots, just makes them extraordinary. So,
yeah, and it's just the head that fills the frame. It's not, it's not the headshot you're going to see on your company website. It's the headshot that you're going to see
tell a story
on GQ, Esquire, something like that. So I just, when I saw high contrast lighting as our challenge, that was my initial, I'm going to do this kind of portrait. But I said, I'm going to try and do it to myself. Because let's make it a little more challenging. And I had a blast with this. This was a lot of fun. As you can see, it was 1/80th of a second. We talked about the lighting setup. So as far as the camera goes, I'm using a 50 mil. I've got that ring light on there, and I'm very close to the camera. So it was funny because I was trying to make sure I got in focus, obviously.
Yes,
so what I was doing at
any of this makes it in focus, out of focus.
Right.
You had to nail that exact spot.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it doesn't have my aperture on here. Weird. Anyway, so I'm doing these shots and I'm holding out a book in front of the camera, hitting my focus to get the book in focus, and then I'm moving in front of the camera and trying to stand in the same spot that I had the book. And it was going, I got it sometimes, and then other times it looked like hell. And I was just getting frustrated. So I was actually shooting at 1.8 here. So, any motion is out of focus. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, this is getting frustrating. And I'm about to walk away from this and just use one of the ones I got. And then I forget what I reached out to do, but I went to adjust the ring light, I think. And I went, the hell am I walking back and forth for? I can reach the focus button from where I'm standing. So then I just stood there, hit the focus button. It went beep, beep. And I went, you son of a... You wasted so much time walking around, grabbing a book, trying to focus, walking around, and getting in position, then getting mad.
Hey, it turned out, though.
And all I had to do was, reach out.
Worked out good, though. So...
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You had a question?
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think that you don't have to go black and white, basically kind of what we did with our other shots. This is absolutely showing highlights and shadows in high contrast situation. It's perfect. It did really well, and it definitely got the comments. So instead of just comments. Instead of cute kitty or cute puppy and all that stuff, it was a legit thought out shot. So
I think some of these that I have are going to be good marketing materials for some of the stuff that I do. For money. This is obviously fun, but I think this could be used as a, when I see companies not using a professional for their product photography, and go from there.
Perfect.
Are you ready to move on?
Yeah, let's go to the shot that got mailed in.
Mailing it in, he says.
But I like the shot.
Tell me about it. I know you got lazy, but I really like this.
I do too. But so I'm editing photos. I've got the Mac there, and I'm editing photos. But there's a game that my son and I kind of wanted to play, and I really just didn't. The sun was coming in. It was I think noonish, something like that. All I know is the sun was coming in pretty good. I'm like, well, hell, right here. Now, I prefer the colored version of this. I really did, especially with the colors in the background and the color of the controller. I really liked that. But I just felt that this portrayed the high contrast better.
Okay.
And so that's the one that I used. To me, it was a little busy in the background, but it told a story for me. It told a story of I want to play this game, but I've got work to do. And to me, I liked that. But when I say I mailed it in, it was because I just used a quick concept that I would not have used for this specific. To me, I like the photo for the story and for itself. But it is definitely not necessarily what I would think as high contrast, even though it's got high contrast portions to it. I just don't think that that's necessarily telling the story for high contrast. It's telling a different story to me. And so,
well,
I liked it.
I think the fact that it was high contrast light, though, helps too.
And there's there is definitely a lot of contrast to it. It's just, to me, it's telling the story of, I don't want to edit. I want to play games more than it's telling a high contrast photo. So,
well, I think it can do both. And I don't think it necessarily had to tell a high contrast story. I think the story that it tells is great. And it has high contrast. So I think you did a really good job of having both. I don't think it needed to tell the high contrast story. I think it just needed to be high contrast. And I think you did that. If I had to guess, there's probably a few gamers out there that would, have this big printed out over their TV, their gaming station, whatever it might be. I like this photo a lot.
It did not do very well on the votes. But again, it is one of the shots that I particularly like. But I'm a gamer. and I'm a hobbyist. And so for me, I did like this. So
now, when you say it didn't do well in the votes, I think I need to make the point here that while it did finish fourth, I think it was the most votes a fourth place photo has gotten.
It could be.
So I don't think you should be beating yourself up too bad here, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you're any good at games.
No,
so you might be able to beat yourself up there.
I used to be, but I'm old. And my kids will call me.
Atari was a lot easier.
I did grow up with Atari.
I played in television as a kid. Do you remember
do.
television?
I do.
That was mine, where you slid the little plastic thing over the number pad, and that was your controller. That was my favorite. I still love that.
You have to put a screenshot of what that looked like.
And in television and Atari for those watching who have no idea what we're talking
absolutely zero idea. There might be quite a few that don't even know what film is.
That's you know what? I have a film camera and I haven't pulled it out yet. I bought film and everything and I haven't touched it.
I started with film, so I started with.
Well, you didn't have another option.
I didn't. No, but I think obviously the Insta camera kind of stuff that was film. But when I first got into,
I'm just imagining you with the big stand with the bulb that explodes every time.
Okay, but I had a 110 camera that had those frickin' flash bulbs on top. They were the coolest thing in the world, especially if you got a 9.
Oh yeah, I would love to have.
If you got a 9-volt battery, you can fire these off and make these damn things almost explode. Kids, don't try this at home if you can even find the thing.
Yeah, we might have to cut this out for safety concerns.
Kids, don't try that. Adults, don't try that at home. Oh, it was cool though. You take a 9-volt battery and you'd make those pop, and yeah, those things were awesome.
Funny. Oh, I
digress.
That is funny. Oh, well, I like the photo. I know all my gamer friends liked it. It got votes. It got some votes. Like yeah. So I like it.
Thank you.
If I were a gamer, it would be a photo I would actually hang in my game room. I'm just not a gamer personally.
I think all 4 photos this time definitely. I think for our own personal. I think we ended up doing really well with all 4. Again, like I said, and I had my reasons why I didn't think that it was ideal for this. It just happened to fit the bill. I did.
Sure.
I guess the biggest thing is I did not take it specifically for this. It just happened to be sitting in front of me. I'm like, oh, that'll work. Bam. And there we go. The rest is history.
I think that's kind of part of photography in general. Ooh, are we about to have a double dose of motivational moment?
Oh, there we go.
I think we are. Wow. Oh, here we go. Oh, ready?
Let's do it.
Everybody, come in closer. Come in close. I don't have somebody behind the camera, so we're just going to pretend. The beauty of photography, and I've said this before, is that once you get into it, you start to notice things a little bit more. And what I think is really cool, and this is the quote that we're going to flash up here, is there are no ordinary moments. It's your perception of them that makes them ordinary. But if you are paying attention and you're looking for something, you're going to find some beauty or extraordinary component to it. So there are no ordinary moments. It's just what you perceive. So there you go. You got a double dose.
And jumping,
I'm not even charging you for that second one.
And jumping into this hobby, anybody who is just starting out in photography or who has been in photography knows this. When you start taking photos and then you don't have your camera, you never stop looking at things closer than you ever have before. You start seeing things not just as a photo, but you start seeing beautiful things in things that are just things. And it opens up a whole new world. You start seeing a lot of things that you never saw before. You start smelling the roses, so to speak.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great way to...
There we go.
I love it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's awesome. I think it changes the way you look at stuff for sure.
Absolutely.
It makes you want to look at things differently. It makes you look for things. And, I think there's something to be said for the opposite, that not everything is extraordinary, but nothing is ordinary at the same time. It's a matter of what you're perceiving. So with that being said,
Great job.
Are we ready for the next extraordinary challenge, the next extraordinary
Let's
moment
do it.
here, Brett? All right. I've got the cards lined up here, buddy.
You know what? How about throw those cards out this week?
Throw them out.
Throw those cards out. We're going to do something a little bit different. So I like it. So we're still going to do a challenge, but we are going to be introducing a second channel that we're going to do. And
ooh, wait, is the world ready for this?
I don't know. So
we're going to find out.
We're going to do a challenge based on the name of this new talk that we're going to be doing. And I think beers and Bokeh. So let's do a challenge on that. Let's do your favorite adult beverage. Whether it's a product photo, I don't care how we present it, but let's do a challenge on that naming and introduce this. So what's beers and Bokeh going to be?
So beers and Bokeh, this is a idea that kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. Well, let's say the name came out of nowhere. But we've been talking for a little while now about doing a non-challenge show. So where we just kind of talk photography, talk shop, as Brett likes to say. And we're not necessarily doing this challenge. So it's going to range in topics. It could go off the rails on any given day or episode.
I hope it does. Well, okay. So think about, so here we are at 45 minutes plus. It's our longest episode so far. We've already kind of gone off the rails, but you and I kind of have this little thing that we talk. And I think that this next show, so we're still going to have these challenges. We are not going away from that, but we are going to every other week have the fill-in of this conversation, this beers and Bokeh, where we just talk shop, where we just have fun about a topic, and whether it goes off the rails or not, maybe you guys are going to learn something from this. Who knows? But you're going to have fun with it. We're going to have fun with it.
Right.
Still going to have the challenges. Hit me with your best shot isn't going anywhere, but we're also going to have something a little more laid back, something a little more open. Yeah. So,
yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity to talk about what other people might like to talk about. If photography in general is such a wide-ranging subject. There's, like we just talked about, there's product photography, there's wedding photography, there's real estate, there's just out for fun, there's wildlife, it's everything. Yep. And we have a lot of those interests. So just doing this challenge is fun, and it's making us step out of our comfort zone for sure. But let's just talk. Let's see what topics come up, what's interesting on any given day, and go from there.
What we can share, the whole 9 yards. So this challenge will be basically a theme on beers and Bokeh. So it's your favorite adult beverage. I don't want to just say it has to be a beer, even though it's beers and Bokeh.
That's just easy rhyming.
Let's keep it open. So your favorite adult beverage in any way, shape, or form, be it product photography or an action shot, anything. So
just in your hand.
Yep, the whole
whatever you want to do. So with that being said, so we're going to do, hit me with _ beers and Bokeh.
Oh, I like it.
We'll name it after what it is. And then we will, let's see. So we've got Thanksgiving this week. So, there's an opportunity for a lot of people to take a photo of their favorite adult beverage or their beverage of choice, whatever it might be. So we won't be submitting these until December 5th. December 5th is the deadline to get your photos in. I know that everybody's going to be having an adult beverage between now and then. So
or 5,
take a snapshot of
or
it.
6.
And I know you've got a wedding this weekend. I've got one next weekend. So there's probably going to be a few drinks being had at those events.
Shout out to Kim and Joe, who's getting married the Saturday after. So got to put a plug in for them.
There you go.
Congratulations to them.
And we've got Tom and Katie the following weekend. So congratulations, everybody. Love is in the air.
So this kind of this back and forth, this discussion is kind of what I want to bring into this Beers and Bokeh. So obviously we have this challenge, and we kind of want to keep this as a challenge, but I want to be able to have these conversations where it's just us talking shop and whatever comes out of that. And I think that's going to be a blast.
I love it. I love
it.
So I think we just start rolling that camera immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we spent a half hour talking before these, so we really do
usually.
So
we don't. So just so everybody knows, we don't script out the show, but we do talk about the order of operations here, because otherwise, who knows where the show would go?
Well, that's where Beers and Bokeh is going to be the best. Let it go off the rails.
Beers and Bokeh is going to be completely unscripted, completely unformatted, and there's going to be alcohol involved.
There will, yes.
So
alcohol and a topic, and where it goes from there. Who
alcohol
knows?
And at least one topic, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I've got an idea for Beers and Bokeh, and we'll talk about that. We might live stream that.
I like it. We could do it.
We'll see. And
so I want to tell everybody Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Happy Thanksgiving to
and you as well.
It's been a lot of fun so far. I'm thankful that we get to do this.
Cheers.
I'm thankful we started this. Cheers. I see. I'm done my stupid little soda drink here, but
cheers.
So everybody knows I was not just drinking a Pink's, beer. This is something I found at the grocery store from Limited Time Originals is the name of the brand, and it's a cranberry orange craft soda.
I'm expecting to see a product shot of this at some point.
Why not? Maybe I'll stuff it up my turkey and take a shot of it.
There's a Beers and Bokeh photo right there.
Am I doing it right? Well, it's a soda. It's not a beer, but I might do it anyway.
I'm going to tell you.
I think I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to tell
you right now. This episode is not This is just a preview of what Beers and Bokeh is going to be. So we have gone off the rails already. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take one of these to Thanksgiving dinner and stuff it in the turkey. Anyway, so this is the holiday cranberry orange craft soda. So for anybody who knows me, I love soda, but I've really refrained from drinking it anymore because it's not good for you. So like once a month, I'll treat myself to a Dr. Pepper or something. And I was just in the grocery store walking around, and I've looked at this 3 or 4 times. I go to the grocery store a lot for some reason. I don't know why. And I didn't have an adult to supervise me this time because my fiance was doing something else. So I bought
came home with
a child. She opened the fridge.
What is this?
What the hell is this?
Leave my soda alone.
I was like, don't touch it. It's mine. It's my fruity soda.
and with that, hey, everyone,
happy Thanksgiving.
See you, everyone.
Take care.
It was great.
Find the stop button.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.